Losing faith in humanity has helped me immensely getting over my social anxiety. And I know that sounds corny, sounds emo, but it is my experience. I used to have really bad social anxiety, like really bad. It was awful. Like I would walk a mile with like a rock in my shoe just because I couldn't bring myself to stop and remove the rock from my shoe because there are people around, people who don't know me. Just talking to someone used to be a really difficult task for me. If the conversation went on for like more than an exchange or two, I would start fucking trembling. I actually start shaking and stuttering to the point where I actually can't say anything at some points. It used to be really bad. Uh, on the bus, for example, here in Egypt, we have something called the microbus. It doesn't stop on any specific stations. You will have to shout the name of your, like the place you want to drop when it's getting close to it, right? So if someone goes off like uh, at the station that is like right before mine, if they're like somewhat close to each other, I would get off at the same stop that is before mine and walk the rest of the distance because I couldn't bring myself to inconvenience the driver by making them stop again after like 10 more seconds of driving. And oh man, having to ride a microbus to a destination that I don't know the whereabouts of. That used to be like my worst nightmare. So it was really bad. It used to affect my quality of life like a lot. Making friends was always really difficult just because I can't carry a conversation for long enough. And naturally, once someone interacts with you for like a first time and you start stuttering to the point where you can't talk, you know, usually they don't try again. Now, thankfully, all of that ended about 2 years ago. It was a gradual process, but I could say that I got over my social anxiety about 2 years ago. Now, the way that happened, it did take a lot of effort from myself, mental effort to actually like convince myself to get over it. I'll go into that in a moment. But thinking about it now, after actually getting over it, I realized that the main thing that helped me get over it was just losing faith in humanity, which by itself made me understand the roots that were causing the social anxiety I was having. And so it seems from my experience, or the roots or the main cause of social anxiety to me was the feeling that my convenience would be less important than other people's convenience. It was a matter of my subconscious mind thinking that I don't deserve to exist as much as these people, let's say. And I never noticed that while I was still struggling with social anxiety because while I'm in the moment, I just think that I'm a coward. Like in the moment, to me, I'm just scared of the confrontation. You don't really realize what's causing that fear of the confrontation. Like I'm not scared of the person themselves, I'm scared of the interaction that we're gonna have, which doesn't make sense. So, for example, if I'm standing in a line waiting for my turn for something, and someone cuts me off in that line, back in the day, I wouldn't be able to step up and like tell the person move or tell them that they can't just skip my turn. It's my turn, right? And not necessarily because I'm scared of the person. As I said, it might be someone that I know couldn't hurt me, but I'm just too scared to say anything. But in that moment, I just think for some reason that it's fine for me to be inconvenienced for them to have what they want. Why? Like, why? It doesn't make sense. Of course, and of course, it makes me sad at the time, but it just sounds so rational at the moment. Later I would be upset about it, but in the moment, that's just how it feels. And so on in so many other situations. I just realized that the source of my anxiety was just the feeling that I shouldn't be there. I don't have the right to do a certain thing. Like a fear of being a burden to these people. Even if these people actually do me wrong. Like if they do something bad to me, I still would be worried about bothering them. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense when you put it into words, but somehow your mind on social anxiety forces it to make sense. Somehow. And I know a lot of these examples I'm giving probably resonate with a lot of you listening who have social anxiety or had it before. For example, one of the biggest nightmares for people with social anxiety is giving presentation for like college, for example, or school. Some people fear that day they have to give a presentation in front of a crowd more than they fear death. And that used to be me because I know I will get up there and after like 3 sentences, I start shaking and stuttering. And now that I don't suffer from that anymore, I realize that the reason that would happen to me is because of a deep irrational feeling that I shouldn't be there, that I don't have the right to do what I'm doing there, as if I'm forcing these people to listen to me, or I'm giving this presentation by my choice. That it's something that I just came up with. I decided I want to get out there and give this presentation to these people who don't care, for example. Even if like 5 people gave their presentation right before me, I still would feel like I'm the one who stands out, who shouldn't be there, aside from them. And you can put one and two together. That obviously kinda stems from my feeling that my existence is less important than these people. Now you can probably see how losing faith in humanity or humans solved that problem for me. It made me start to care less about people in general. I expect very little from the average person. Like, for example, the average person I meet in public in the street. I expect him to be a bad person. Now, like right now, I expect him to be probably bad in some way or the other. Probably has some fucked up secret, or they are harmful to in some way or the other. And that helps me a lot because now I don't feel like they matter more than I do, or that I matter less than them. So the default to me eventually became that everyone is more likely bad than good. And of course, I wasn't doing that on purpose. That just became how I think or look at people through enough disappointments and, interacting with enough bad people, which in itself isn't a good thing, of course, but it had a bright side which helped me a lot in my life. Like I still had a phase between the two where I still thought that, for example, if I stop to remove that rock from my shoe, people will look and will have opinions and will think about it for days, which doesn't make sense, but that's how my brain worked. But at the same time, I didn't care. Like people in general stopped mattering to me at all. So it slowly got to a point where I started finally thinking that my convenience is more important than these people because in my head they are bad. They are worse. They are worse than me. I used to think that I'm at least a decent person who, like, I wouldn't hurt someone intentionally or just for sick pleasure. Even the fact that I was already that way, that considerate to the point where it was affecting my life that badly, made me think that I'm probably better than the average person, which slowly started like to become the norm in my head. Like that's the default idea now, that I'm good. I deserve good things. My existence doesn't matter less than these people. And so, as I said before, it was a gradual thing. It started with just me giving up on people in general, and slowly I started to balance things out. Because still, like, losing faith in humanity didn't completely fix the issue by itself. It was just the main thing that helped me get over everything else. It immediately fixed like the majority of the problems, but still some situations still didn't revolve around like whether or not a person is bad. But like by that point, it was my responsibility to start figuring things out, to start setting these standards for myself and convincing my fucking noodle up here that I matter, that my comfort should be the priority. And so, with enough time, it no longer became a problem at all. Of course, there are some residue, but it doesn't really have much effect in my life anymore. Thankfully. Like, for example, making this video, I I would find it very difficult to record myself talking to a screen like this. This used to be really challenging to me because of my social anxiety. Because like I would see myself in the screen and for some reason feel shame, as if I'm doing something that I shouldn't do or don't have the right to do. But now, like it's literally a case of saying fuck it, I don't fucking care. You people fucking suck. I just want a peaceful life, and I'm gonna try to have it. Oh, and of course, like going out there and actually interacting with people is an important step. You can't just expect to hate people at home all the time without interacting with them, and that would solve your issue. You do have to go out there and interact with people to get yourself accustomed to these new feelings that you have about yourself and about these people. Even if going out and interacting with people is difficult, you can start small. Start with doing more voice calls. Even better if you can FaceTime, and not your bestie. Do it with like people you're not very familiar with. Use something like Omegle and the likes. Anything that gets you to interact with people face to face, even if it's through a screen. But just take the step. Don't, just because you have a hard time going out there and actually talking to people and it sounds like the end of the world in your head, you can't just let that be the case forever. You should try to fix it. And again, this was my experience with social anxiety. Of course, the roots for social anxiety be different for others. Also, wouldn't necessarily be solved with the same method. But this is all I have to say about the whole thing. Good luck going out there, or becoming more comfortable dealing with people. I hope this video helps you some way or the other. And see ya.